Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkars Tavern blog. By the way, there's a link on the bottom of the screen, tenkars-tavern.games/TT Discord. That'll take you to the Tenkars Tavern Discord, get you into the community. Tuesday night, we're doing a live stream. My wife and I, it's part of our Gamers Health stuff, but at 11:30 Eastern, we are going to be going live on this very channel. And we're going to have a link in the Gamers Health channel on our Discord if folks want to join in on the live stream. You don't have to just leave a comment or, chat on the screen. You could actually hop in. So we think that should be an interesting way to spend the New Year's. So a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, I did a video on the OSR and how OSR generally meant simpler rule sets. And of course, people pointed out to me that's not always the case. And they're true. They're right. It isn't. And yet it isn't always what it seems either. So I have Dungeon Crawl Classics up on the screen. Now, there is some discussion on whether or not DCC is OSR. I would say it's OSR. Okay. DCC is a huge rule book. I couldn't tell you how many pages. 600, 700. It's huge. Huge. But if you take the mechanics, the basic mechanics of the game, which are pretty simple, and you remove the spell list, the book probably shrinks down to about 200 pages. The vast majority of DCC is the spells, because every spell takes up, 2 pages? Because it's a little bit of a swingy system. So I used to say, well, DCC is a huge book, and it is. But it was rightfully pointed out to me it might be a huge book. It's still a fairly simple system. Now, how do I know it's fairly simple? A lot of times, my wife and I will be at a convention, and we'll sign up for DCC, Weird Frontiers, MCC. Rachel's never read the rules. She just puts on her character sheet, and she understands exactly what she's got to do. Because really, as a player, how complicated are the rules? Well, the rules that are player-facing, what you need, can be put on 2 sides of a character sheet. Well, mostly one. Unless you're a spellcaster, in which case, again, that's where all these pages are devoted to. And I think back to my one session of playing 5e at ShireCon, year and a half, 2 years ago. And it was 5e, Call of Cthulhu meets Snoopy. It was, the Peanuts Gang. It was a lot of fun. But I had an 8-page character sheet. And I can't imagine having to keep track of. There were abilities that I had no idea. There was just too much stuff, too much to figure out. DM had to remind us that, you can do. Well, if there's that much, then maybe there's too much for me. But with DCC, I've run DCC. I was running it when it first got released. I don't absorb new rule sets very easily. It was easy enough to absorb because the basic mechanics are fairly simple, fairly standard. So, I'm going to go on to 2 more games. Just to address this, Hyperborea. Hyperborea is a big book. All right? And I got a chance to play on my first Hyperborea session this past October when Glenn Halswood came to visit New York. And he ran Hyperborea and even had us creating characters at the table. We created characters and went into the game and got a full game session in about 3.5 hours, maybe less. it's an intimidating book, but what you need to know as a player is pretty much explained in your class. And it's almost like it's modular. It's like your knowledge that you need is an extreme. And it feels so much like AD&D in so many other ways. So somebody coming from old school gaming, it feels familiar. Talking about AD&D, Adventures Dark and Deep, Joe Block. And Joe's the one that pointed out, he's like, hey, listen, AD&D, Adventures Dark and Deep, has depth to it. It has complexity. And it certainly does. It has that AD&D, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons 1E, 2E core to it. But player facing, it isn't that bad once you've got your character, and you're not planning out your character's 20 levels. And that's one thing that irks me, not just about 5e, it irked me about 3e Pathfinder, is that part of the game is planning out your character advance. Part of AD&D or the OSR is, hey, I made another level, I survived. Whereas the assumption in the newer games are, I will make 20th level, I need to make all these proper choices as I advance. Those aren't an issue, generally speaking, with OSR games. You're not going to brick your character by choosing wrong abilities or skills. That being said, all these games require, for the best enjoyment, a strong GM. However, games like 5e, games like even 3rd edition Pathfinder, require a lot of rules knowledge by the GM because there's less, I won't say hand-waving, but there's less reliance on rulings, not rules. The older games or systems based upon such or emulating such are often more about rulings. The games move quicker. There's less flipping through the pages. Even games that are extensive in their number of pages. Weird Frontiers, great DCC powered game. It could probably stop. I have a slide, but it's out of reach. It could probably stop a bullet. But the rules aren't complicated. So, on that note, listen, there's a live stream tonight. Gamers Health. We're going to talk about making better health decisions for 2025. Not the best, not perfect, better. So join us at 8 p.m. if you want to. Other than that, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, roll them well. Join the Discord. It's linked at the bottom of the screen. I'll put it in the show notes. Hope to also see you all Tuesday night. What better way to spend your New Year's Eve than with fellow gamers? All right? Later, folks.